Hi, I am Amrit Kaur and this is my data manipulation techniques final presentation on Canada immigration. The objective of this presentation is to find out the Canadian immigration trend after the introduction of Express Entry in 2015 and which Canada immigration program has admitted most express entries candidates and which province has the highest number of immigrants through express entry. My data is about the admission of permanent residents under the express entry by province or territory of intended destination and immigration category from time period 2015 January to October 2020. Canada introduced express entry in 2015 and thus the data is from 2015 itself. And express entry is a system basically which is used by Canadian government to manage Canadian permanent residence applications for filling labor gaps through certain economic immigration programs. My data source is from this link and my data looks like this. I have cleaned my data set by merging a few columns and combining year and month rows and deleting unnecessary columns and rows from the data. As you can see here how I have cleaned my data. In subsequent sheets you can see the final data, and later on I have added a pivot table to get the immigrants in January 2015, that is the month the express entry was introduced. As you can see here, there are 5 categories and 5 programs in express entry, which includes business, provincial nominee, resettled refugee, sponsored family and worker program, among which worker program was has the most number of candidates. Similarly, when going through the subcategories in January 2015, the number of immigrants in skilled labor, which also comes under the worker program, has the most number of candidates. Now I will further clean and analyze my data in Python Jupyter Notebook. Here you can see I have added the imported libraries and created a data frame from the sheet which was my final clean data set in Excel. And you can see here are some non-values and useless columns, and we have 178 entries and 75 columns before cleaning. So I have removed the class column, I have removed the non-values, and here you can see there are no non-values, and I have replaced the dash values with 0, and later on I have removed the unnamed columns, which you can't see here but it was there. And then in order to get it into my required format, I have added the melt function, which basically helps in segregating the number of imprints and year. Now since I want month and year separately, I have used split function in order to split them and get my month column, as you can see here. Later on I have arranged the data in order to get 1 as the first index as compared to 0 in the previous data. I have renamed the number of immigrants as here, and when I see my clean data now, it has 6 columns as compared to 75 earlier, and it has 1, 2, 3, 5, 1 rows, and I have then saved it into Excel in order to use it in Power BI. But first we see the visualization here. Since the number of immigrants was in object data type, I needed it to be in integer, so I have converted it into numeric, and you can see it is not converted into integer value, integer data type. Now I have used Seaborn in order to get the bar plot. As you can see here, this is the immigrants by year from 2015 to 2019. Here, as you can see, the number of immigrants has risen up till 2019 and had been decreased in 2020. It has been decreased in 2020 mostly because the COVID-19 pandemic. Here you can see the trend that it is going down very steeply in 2020. Now, in order to further analyze it, we will go through the data and analyze it in Power BI. I have attached the screenshots here of Jupyter Notebook and the chart. Now we will do our analysis in Power BI. So this was my clean data, and now this is the dashboard I have created about the Canada Express Entry immigrants. As you can see here, the total number of immigrants since 2015 to October 2020 is 1547,000. Here you can see the trend of number of immigrants from 2015 to 2020. Here you can see that if I take it till 2019, the trend was always increasing until the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and it has dropped steeply in 2020. Further, you can see here that out of 5 programs in Express Entry, the worker program has the most number of immigrant candidates. And here you can see the trend of number of immigrants by category and year, and obviously it has gotten down on 2020. And just to compare, if we see till 2019, it has been increasing steadily. Next, you can see here that the sponsored family program has the second highest number of immigrants, that is 401k, and then the provincial nominee program and the resettled refugees, and last, business, it has the least number of immigrants. In 2019, the number of immigrants was highly increased, and it was 317k. And as per my research, in 2019, Canada broke a record of admitting this much number of immigrants in 5 years. Now further you can see, as I have color coded everything, the worker program has the most number of immigrants, and in the subcategory of worker program, the skilled worker subcategory has the most number of immigrants in Express Entry, with sponsored spouse or partner category subcategory as the second, and provincial nominee category as the third. Now coming to the number of immigrants according to the province or category, here you can see in this heat map that Ontario has the most number of immigrants here, and followed by it Quebec. Quebec has the second most number of immigrants, and here you can see as well that worker program category has always been on top. Here in Manitoba, you can see the provincial nominee program as being on the top. Now coming to this map, here you can see that this red colored area, that is Nunavut, does not have many number of immigrants. It's just 35 immigrants in 5 years. You can see, and that too only from worker program and sponsored family. This was quite a surprise, as if the area of Nunavut is very large in Canada, and still there are only 35 number of immigrants with express entry from 2015 to 2020. So after researching about Nunavut, I learned that Nunavut is a very isolated place. It does not have connectivity at all. It has 25 villages. It does not have any connectivity by road. You can only go there by air travel, and everything there is really expensive. The land, food, everything, and the weather as well is very difficult to live in. So that's why Nunavut, even though covering 21% of the entire Canada, it does not have many number of immigrants. Now, on further observation, I saw that the resettled refugee category has increased tremendously in 2016. Why is that? So, on looking at the 2016 data, you can also see here that the government-assisted refugees are more than the privately sponsored refugees, as opposed to every other year. So why is that? So on researching about that, I came to know that Government of Canada, due to the Syrian war, the Government of Canada in November 2015 introduced and proposed that it will admit more than 25,000 Syrian refugees to Canada. So that will be sponsored by government. That's why in 2016 there was a lot of government assisted refugees, as you can see here, and that's why it has risen up in 2016. You can see my dashboard in the presentation, segregated by year, program, province, and these are my key observations, as I have just stated everything, and this is the research I did in order to answer my questions and my observations. So next, in my dashboard, you can see the forecast. I have marked it to 2019 because if the pandemic have not happened, it would have been increased in 2020 as opposed to the decrease due to the pandemic, and it would have been 336k immigrants by 2020, which is not the case now. The Government of Canada is trying to increase the number of immigrants in order to keep its economy on the right track. So these are my conclusions, which I have already stated, and thank you so much. This was the end of the presentation.